Alright everybody, so welcome to another episode of Would I Buy? It's a show where I basically try out a bunch of random demos of some games that I've never really looked into before. Sort of talk about some of the experiences that I had with the demo, and then basically make a decision from that about whether I would buy it myself, whether I could wait for a sale, or whether I'd leave it alone. Of course, then I like to put forward to you about whether you've tried it before, get a bit of discussion going, and I'll leave it at that. And in this one, we are looking at Lost Ruins. And this looks to be a bit of a sort of a Metroidvania type game, in the fact that obviously when you started, I were wondering what it were going to be like, but yeah, I kind of got the impression it was going for a bit of a Metroidvania, but at the same time it kind of isn't, and I think it does seem to set itself apart from that as well. So obviously when I were playing it, you kind of realised it's a survival experience, and that's obviously what it talks about at the beginning. It wants, and I'm like, ooh, a survival experience. Now, obviously, I have played like Castlevania and Metroid, and usually it's a matter of you save, you run out there in the world, and you get to the next save point. If you die, obviously you return to the save point. Now, obviously, this is very much like that, but I kind of like the aspect in terms of that it does set itself apart. The fact that you don't actually regenerate the health at these save spots, which I think kind of actually makes it somewhat more nerve-wracking to actually leave, and actually just in general it kind of gets that feeling that you are surviving, and I think it does set itself apart in terms of that. So rather than actually like every other Metroid Castlevania game where you're safe and you're near the save spot, you kind of always have to be on your guard regardless, because you do actually heal up through means of potions. And I mean, obviously when you kill enemies you can gain some like health back on occasion there, but obviously that wasn't frequent. So that kind of made traversing it a little bit more, you had to be a little bit more strategic. You had to sort of think. Now obviously from the demo I kind of got the impression that although that you could collect, I can't remember what it were, but you collected stuff that allowed you to buy potions, so whether it were like gold or something else, can't remember off the top of my head. So you could buy potions, you could collect potions. Now obviously from this, there didn't seem to be any form of RPG type element to it. And obviously when I go on about RPG element, obviously when it comes to like Castlevania, it usually when you killed enemies you gained a bit of experience. So it doesn't have, unfortunately, any type of RPG element in that respect, sort of like leveling up your character, at least not from what I saw. Although it does seem to have equipment that you can get, so you can gain like more powerful swords along the way. So it does have that in regards to it. So obviously it's kind of like somewhat RPG, but it kind of isn't at the same time. But imagine it's sort of like a cross between Metroid, where you didn't really level up, and Castlevania, where you did level up. But obviously that's just from what I was experiencing as I was playing it. But I kind of didn't mind that. I kind of presumed that as you went on, there may be opportunities or chances to upgrade your health or anything like that. I'm not sure, I haven't looked into that situation, but regardless of all that, I think from what I saw here, it was kind of fun, that you had to be really on your guard, and there was that element of strategy as I were playing, and I really enjoyed that. And I have played a lot of like the Metroidvania type games, and this is one that actually really kind of enjoyed, and by the end of it, I was obviously wanting to still play. Now, obviously looking at the pictures, there's probably still a lot of locations to sort of explore, and I think it'll be one of those things where I think I'd enjoy actually exploring these locations. And yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say. I mean, if you've played a Metroid type game or a Metroidvania type game, you know, I think it's definitely one of those things that you definitely need to look into. I suppose it's like I say with this series, I've never really looked into many of the games, but obviously there are so many games out there that a lot of them kind of get missed. So it's kind of a good opportunity. This is why I actually do this series, because it's basically a game that I can't believe it's been out for a while, and I admit, I apologise, it probably has been out a while for this game, but because it's not like advertised like the big budget ones, some of these games kind of just passes by, and I'm kind of glad that I found this game. I mean, my god, when I looked up Lost Ruin as well, it didn't even show up. It came up with Lost Judgment, and that's a good game as well. But yeah, this one kind of just didn't even show up in the search bar, and I'm surprised at that, because when I was playing it, I had a lot of fun with it. So obviously, if it came to would I buy it, yeah, I actually would. I think it's not that bad of a price either. I can't remember how much it were right now, but yeah, I would say you had to really... I got a little bit immersed into the world. Obviously, I wasn't very good, and I died quite frequently, but at the same time, it didn't feel like the game was cheating me. It kind of had that, you know, it was my fault. So it was a matter of learning the levels, learning the enemies, and finding the best strategy. And I kind of like that. You know, I play a lot of like the Metroid type games and the Castlevania, and it's not often where you find the ones where you have to like have a bit of strategy and you learn that little bit more each time. So yeah, if it came to would I buy it, yeah, I would buy this game. And if, like I say again, if you are into your Metroidvania, I would say you should give it a try, see what you think of it. But obviously that is just my opinion. So what about you guys? Are you into your Metroidvania type games? Would you play this game? Would you give it a try? Or would you, is it not your type of thing? Are you not into the Metroid type games? Let us know in the comments. And as always, I will see you guys on the next one. Laters.